Abbey Dental, sponsors of Late Lunch for all aspects of today's dental care. Highly recommended throughout the Isle of Man.
Welcome to the Late Lunch podcast, where we take a look back at our best bits. On the show last week, we met one of our newest regular contributors, Stephanie Kerwin from Aurora Wellness, who will be giving us monthly hints and tips on making our lives happier and healthier. We found out that the baking bard is also a biking fan, as Mrs. Yorkshire delivered again with a fabulous tribute to the TT. And at the end of the week, we had our first experience of TTTs as we headed to Glenmona and were welcomed by folk from near and far at Doon Village Hall. But first, we got creative again on Tuesday as I visited the Great Manx Pottery Build Up and Throw Down. Oh, I'm in a very busy room. It's very exciting. You can hear all sorts going on. I'm at the Art Society building and we are almost at the end of the Great Manx Pottery Throwdown. I've got Faye and Anna here with me, who a lot of you remember from having been on the show. Faye, obviously you have been doing this for some time yourself, but looking at the people that have come along to this weekend, what do you think so far of the standard?
Oh, I'm very pleased. Yeah, very proud of them. Some of them came with no throwing at all, and we've definitely got nice pots coming out of them now. Hopefully there's a bit of confidence, and they'll go back on today and we'll see what they've picked up and what they've learned.
I'm so impressed by what I can see around the room, because it's not just pots though, is it?
No, they're building clocks as well. I've challenged them in their hand building to build a clock, which isn't actually easy. It's designed, slab built, they're putting them together, they're decorating them today. I think they've done amazingly, to be honest. I mean, we have had complete beginners, which you would expect nothing like what they've produced. So Faye and I think we're magicians at the minute, aren't we? Yeah, this is like Hogwarts for potters.
This is the sound of an actual potter's wheel. And who do we have sitting at this wheel?
Barbara Neal.
So Barbara, tell me all about what you're doing here, because you're relatively new to this, aren't you?
I am. I've had a one-on-one with Faye about 2 years ago. Then my husband and daughters thought it'd be quite a good idea to give me a voucher for my birthday, which was absolutely fabulous. But certainly a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Well, you say that, but you're barely looking at what you're doing, and yet your hands just seem to be working magic on this. You're really creating a beautiful looking piece here.
Well, Faye says to close your eyes or look ahead, not to actually look at the clay, and just to feel it with your fingers and your hands. So it's hard to do, but if you try it, it does work.
And does it feel fantastic as well?
It's lovely, yeah, it is. And when you see the finished product, it's great, yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing yours later on. All the best with that one.
I'm Jo Louis.
Jo, you have an incredible creation in front of you here. This is beautiful. So just describe what it is you've created.
Okay, so I'm making a clock, but it's really got lots of scenes from the Isle of Man. So we've got Milner's Tower on the top. It's supposed to depict Bradda Head, so it'll all be painted up. Basking shark in the bay, the cosy nook, a bit of a Porterian thing going on, which is where I live. I've just moved recently over here, and I've just fallen mad in love with your island.
You can tell that you have. It's really magical. It's really quite detailed, so I'm guessing you do have experience.
I do. I've been doing pottery for about 15 years. Really find the island totally inspiring to make things.
Have you enjoyed being in this space with all of these other potters as well?
Absolutely lovely to meet all the other fellow potters, because I'm so new to the island that it's just, everyone's been so gorgeous, friendly and welcoming. I'm so happy. It's just, everyone could not have been nicer.
Carol, tell me a little bit about your experience in this.
I'm the inexperienced one, so I decided when I retired from work that I was going to do something creative, and I decided to try flower arranging and pottery and ceramics. So in a way here, my clock, because we're all doing clocks, is a vase of flowers. So I've mixed the two. So as you can see, there's loads of flowers on top. The leaves are going to go up the sides to cover the sides, the joins at the sides, and my clock face will be in the front. So yes, and I've thoroughly enjoyed every second that we've been here. I'm not very good on the wheel. Even Richard couldn't save my pot yesterday, even though he tried. But I've loved it, absolutely, and it's great meeting all these different people and all different experiences, from novices to professionals, more or less. It's been great.
And so do you think after this you will carry on doing this?
Oh, yes. Gosh, yes. I absolutely love it.
The Nation Station. The riders are eagerly waiting. They've loaded their bikes with their gear. They've packed their cases for the TT races for the best 14 days of the year. They're stung by the steam packet price hike, but consider it money well spent. They've really mucked up, the hotels are booked up, so they're spending 2 weeks in a tent. They take a trip up to the grandstand to chat with McGuinness and Dunlop, and as they pass by have a cuppa with Guy and a good rummage round in his workshop. A lass takes a trip to the beer tent. She'll find true romance in there, maybe. But soon she conceives and the lad ups and leaves and she's left with her own TT baby. The rides at the fair are quite costly. They need to approach them with caution. They'll have to think twice when they tell them the price. It's a definite form of extortion. The roads are increasingly busy when travelling to work every day. Then some continental who's totally mental is riding his bike the wrong way. They set off from work in the evening. They all leave the office at 5. They do tend to whine when they get home at 9, 'cause it should be a 5-minute drive. For the sake of the riders and tourists, we hope that the weather is sunny, and that those who attend are quite happy to spend to ensure that we make lots of money. It's the best time of year on the island. The cynics had better take warning. If they want to complain, there's no need to remain. There's an overpriced boat in the morning.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
But we are also joined in the studio by Stephanie Kerwin from Aurora Wellness. And you said something really interesting about sleep being one of the foundations of wellness, Stephanie. And I think for so many reasons, people really scrimp on sleep nowadays and get by on very, very little. How much sleep do we actually need?
Well, that depends on the person, but certainly around 7 to 9 hours for an average adult is something to base it on, yes. And what's very important is not just how many hours you sleep, it's the quality of your sleep, and if you're waking during the night as well, because we really do need that consistent sleep. It's very, very important. There's so many functions that happen during the night when we are asleep. For example, that's the time when our liver's working the hardest. That's the time when a lot of our detoxification pathways are very active and our body's detoxifying. That's the time where our body goes into a lot of repair. And how I explain it to people, if your body's like a battery with 100% in, your body's not going to do things and repair properly when you're active and you're awake and you're digesting food and you're stressed and you're trying to get the kids to school and all the other things that you do during the day. So when you're asleep and you're resting, that's when your nervous system's restoring. That's when a lot of your neurotransmitters, which are the chemicals that make you happy, like serotonin and dopamine, that's when they're produced. That's when a lot of the repair processes are done. So if you're not sleeping well, it's having a significant impact in almost every function of your body.
The problem is, I think a lot of people know that, and worrying about not sleeping possibly makes them not sleep very well. And we know that we shouldn't have screens an hour or so before bedtime, but if people are in that habit of waking up for whatever reason, of not getting good quality sleep, what could you help them with? What would you advise?
Well, again, it's looking for the cause of why that person's not sleeping. So, for example, the cause might be because they're in pain. So in our clinic, I work with my husband, Paul, who's an acupuncturist. So a lot of people come in a significant amount of pain. So if pain's the reason that they're not sleeping, we might help with that. It might be, as we said, like poor dietary choices, maybe drinking too much caffeine like coffee or Coca-Cola during the day. Melatonin production is very high at night time. So you mentioned about the screens, Beth. Well, when you actually have that blue light penetrating through your eyes, it actually affects the production of melatonin, which is also called the sleep hormone. So if somebody's just screening it all evening and then they're not sleeping, that might be the cause. It might be because they're very stressed, or they've had a current trauma or the loss of somebody. Maybe they're going through a troublesome time at work. Maybe they're having problems with a relationship. So it's really looking to find the cause of those sleep disturbances rather than just giving them a herb or a nutritional medicine to help knock them out, if that makes sense.
In some cases, though, I'm thinking of new parents, for example, their sleep is completely disrupted and very often they have to go on very small amounts of sleep. Is there anything you can do in that sort of instance?
Well, then... I was one of those parents. I felt absolutely demented. My son's 8.5. I think I'm only just recovering from the 3.5 years lack of sleep. I certainly wish I'd employed or hired a holistic sleep practitioner, somebody like Laura Cooley on the island that's helping parents get some, their children get some good quality sleep. But the other thing to remember is that there are, when there's new mums, like you mentioned, there are hormones that actually help you cope with lack of sleep. So some mums bottle feed and some mums breastfeed, that's fine. But for example, for a breastfed baby, when the mother wakes up, they're producing a lot of oxytocin, which is the love hormone, and then that does help them cope a bit better with the sleepless nights. So a short period of time of sleepless nights is fine. It's when it becomes very prolonged.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
We are live from Doon for the TTTs down here. Absolutely wonderful atmosphere, fantastic food. And let's talk to the people who are responsible for that food. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Jane Crackley.
Audrey Alpha. And Audrey, is it true you come over from Scotland every year just to do this?
Yeah, this is my third year, yeah.
How did that start?
Well, Jane and I were friends from primary school, and I think for the past 53 years we've been friends. And when Jane moved over to the Isle of Man, I started to come over just on a visit every so often, and we've just kept in touch ever since primary school. So so we're good friends. So I decided to come and give her a hand if she needed me.
And she's not going to let you go, let me tell you that, Audrey. And Jane, you have been here since pretty early this morning, and this is possibly one of the first times you've been allowed out the kitchen, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, he's got a whip which he keeps cracking.
We're talking about Nigel.
Yes, we are. So yes, we live in Union Mills, so we left home at 7:15 this morning, and we've been in the kitchen cooking since 8 o'clock.
And you two are the only people who do the food?
Who do the cooking. We have a lady, Linda, who actually keeps us supplied with cakes. She lives in Ballagorry, and so the cakes and scones keep coming down, which is great.
Do you ever want to see another cooked breakfast again after the TT's over?
Not for a while.
What is the most popular thing on the menu then?
The all-day breakfast.
That's what I heard.
It's good to see though, there's some fruit bonnig, some good Manx bonnig on there.
Yes, there is. And we also have kippers. Kipper baps are quite popular, and we've actually got kipper pate as well. So
that's terribly fancy, my word. Very fancy. Kipper pate.
And from getting the order in, Audrey, to getting it out on the plate, do you time yourself? Have you got a record?
No, I don't think so, but we're pretty smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And the all-day breakfast, we have bacon, sausage, egg, fried bread, mushrooms, tomato, and beans.
It is very, very good.
You get a glass of orange juice, tea or coffee, and toast.
It's just brilliant. Do you know what? With more people probably coming in, we should probably let you get back to the kitchen. But thank you so much for escaping for a little bit. Hope you get a little bit of a rest over the next few days. That's not going to happen, is it?
Well, hopefully not. That's why we're here. And when we go home, because Audrey stays with us, so then Nigel's on duty, and we get the cocktails.
Sounds like my sort of setup there.
They've got the right idea over here in Glenmona, I have to say, they really do. And we're going to speak now to someone who I think may well have been sampling these wonderful TTTs. I tell you what, let's swap microphones.
We're just going to do a little bit of jiggery pokery. Oh dear, it's stuck in the boot. Never mind.
If you're looking at we've got some Facebook videos on the go, and we are sort of moving around cables and headphones and everything. We're a bit static today. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Right, I'm talking to the table behind us now. Just introduce yourself.
It's Mike from Stoke-on-Trent.
And your name is?
Mandy.
And who do we have here?
Paul from Nottingham.
And I can't quite reach you, but just say hello.
Hi.
Your name is?
Vaz.
Lovely to meet you. Now, Mike, how long have you been coming to the TT?
Started coming. It's something I've always wanted to do and never really got organised enough to get over here until 2014. And that was the first year I came over, and I've been coming over every year since.
And you're someone who has, in the past, I know, has taken part in the whole homestay situation, haven't you? So how have you found that? What's that like? Because it's something that's quite unique to the Isle of Man.
It is. I mean, it's something I didn't really look into until I needed to find somewhere to stay on the Isle of Man when I came in 2014, and I was lucky enough to meet Steve and Pauline, and I managed to stay there. And then they organised for us to find somewhere to stay after that in the years following, and we've been staying at the same place ever since. So you kind of make friends with people and book in.
And I have to ask you, the weather has been a little bit disappointing. I don't know if you've noticed over the past few days, but what does that sort of do for the spirits, when you're just, all you want to do is watch some bike racing?
Well, it's one of those we've been saying all the time, that you can't do anything about the weather. The weather is going to do what it's going to do, so you just have to put up with it and try and make the best of it. So that's what we've been trying to do.
And Mandy, what did you make of your first TT when you first saw racing? What was it like?
Frightening. Absolutely frightening. I prefer horses myself. Yeah, no, it's just an amazing. I think it should be on everybody's bucket list just to come and experience that sort of. I don't know, I can't even give it a name. It's frightening.
And coming out here to the community as well and experiencing these TTTs as well over in Doon. Have you done this before?
We did it when we first came over in 2016. We sort of did quite a lot of the island, but that's the nice part of it, that you go out into the community and you see how much the community gets involved in the entire TT. It's not just the paddock, it's the entire island that sort of comes alive, if you like, just for this Festival of Speed. It's absolutely wonderful.
And what are your plans for the rest of today?
Ride round and hopefully stay dry.
Those are all our late lunch leftovers for this week. Do tune in for the main helping on Manx Radio, weekdays just after 2 p.m.
Every week, of course, we'll have our regular features with Duxford Diaries. We'll have Mark Tiley's Greatest Hit, Midweek Mindfulness, and plenty more with our monthly guests as well.
But for now, thank you so much for listening to the Late Lunch Leftovers podcast. We'll see you again next time.
Abbey Dental, sponsors of Late Lunch for all aspects of today's dental care. Highly recommended throughout the Isle of Man.